Welcome back to part 2 with interview with James A. Sinclair, maker of the movie What If, the movie, and also creator of the movie that's coming up, The Grand Self, with amazing interviews of luminaires all over the world. Dr. Bruce Lipton, like I said, Dr. Spinenza, Dr. Emoto, other people of those calibers have been interviewed by you to help us discover scientific knowledge as well as inspirational wisdom that we can create more and dream big beyond the boundaries of what we have been taught. So this second portion, we will continue two things, talking about the gamma brainwave frequencies. And so if you haven't watched part 1, you need to watch part 1 because part 1 is free for everybody. So you do need to watch it to understand the second portion. And you're going to give us some techniques of how to reach into superconsciousness. We're going to rise into heightened states and discover something that hasn't been well discussed in the world of meditation. Superconsciousness, yes, but how the brainwaves actually operate in superconsciousness hasn't been described. So you're going to dive into that with us, and then I'm going to ask you to share some of your tidbits of nuggets of information of this amazing course that goes as a companion course to the movie The Grand Self that you're offering. And instead of charging almost $1,200, right, it's $1,197. I thought I didn't, $1,197, $1,197. You're giving that to our summit leader because we needed you to add $297.
That's right. Yes.
All right. I got that right. That's amazing, James. We're going to kiss your feet after you've taken a shower. So awesome of you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Wow, wow, wow. So, but that's a limited time offer. That's only for the people viewing it here on this channel as long as that sales page is active. And that will be active until, I believe, till the summit is over.
Yes, it is a limited time offer. So.
Yeah, so we can't do this forever. I mean, that would be, no, you want to give the store away. So let us start by talking about superconsciousness. And then we go into the gamma brainwave states and show why that shows up and then how we can get there.
Yeah, great. Well, I think in the last segment, we left off talking about Tibetan Buddhist monks that have had their brains measured. And along with alpha and theta, they have found that they have gamma brainwave activity, where the average meditator goes into alpha and touches on theta. And the gamma brainwave activity is associated with superconsciousness. And there's a lot more science happening every single day, a lot more studies on the gamma brainwave activity and superconsciousness. But so far, they have connected the gamma brainwave activity to the peak state of consciousness. So they found some of the top professional athletes in the world and the top performers are going into the superconsciousness brainwave, the gamma brainwave activity. Geniuses, some geniuses, very advanced geniuses are going into the gamma brainwave activity, and all kinds of great achievers in different areas.
Right. So let's just do a little review of what are the brainwave states, so we have a little map. Because if I count down, we're in beta right now. Beta is waking consciousness. That's in the range of 22 hertz to 14 hertz, somewhere in there. Then we reach the alpha brainwave state, and we start dipping into daydreaming, coming deeper, until we reach relaxed, deeper breath, until we come about to 8 hertz, 8 cycles per second, where our brain makes these beats electromagnetically. In that time period, we experience a sense of lightness, often relaxation, daydreaming. So then when we go deeper, and incidentally, the Earth, Schumann frequency, the Earth's brainwave frequency is 7.83 hertz. However, as you and I've already discussed in a previous interview, it is rising.
Yes.
So the Earth is actually rising in its frequencies more into a waking state, what we call beta state, reaching the upper regions of alpha right now. Actually, it has been measured as far as 16 hertz. So then people drop down when you say theta. So what might a person experience when they are in theta?
A deeper sense of relaxation and interconnectedness, often to something greater within them, and it's a deeper sleepy state, but it's not sleep.
Okay, it's not where we nod off.
That's right.
So nodding off, do you know when that happens?
Yes.
at what border? When frequency wise, where are we?
Oh, frequency, no, I just know when it happens.
Oh, I see. Well, technically speaking, right at the border going into delta, right? Delta is like 1 hertz to 4 hertz. That's when you have the lowest brainwave frequencies, and it's so slow, the body goes boink.
Right.
And that's where we nod off. So now you're saying the gamma brainwave frequencies, they are actually being measured with Buddhist monks to be around, what, 44 hertz, right?
Yeah, a very peak state of...
I mean, they have been measured as far as hundreds, 200 hertz, but that is apparently something that people have to train.
Yes,
So,
yeah, and practice. And so the beauty of it is, and we actually include this in the companion program for our movie, the beauty is I interviewed someone for the movie by the name of Chris Walton. And he is a beautiful person in the UK who's... ironically, very good friends with Dr. Bruce Lipton. Dr. Bruce Lipton has endorsed this technique, and there's more and more science to affirm the power of this technique, but how easy it is to enter into this gamma brainwave, superconscious state. It's
okay.
so simple. And, but like you say, Ilona, it's so important to practice, because I look at it like, if you feel good for a moment in a week, is that where you want to be?
Right.
We want to feel good all the time,
And then also the locus of our soul awareness. Now, meditation is great, like you said in the first part, to allow this flow to come in.
Yeah.
But then something happens, like we get filled with this etheric light, and then something starts beaming back up to source. Yes. And I think it's in this beam that goes into higher frequencies. I mean, if beta is 14 to 22 cycles per second. I can't even do that. Gamma sounds like this.
Yeah.
It's on steroids,
Yeah.
But you have this calm outside and this heightened state of awareness. And so tell us what people might experience in gamma states of awareness. What do they perceive? What starts happening?
Yeah. Well, and first of all, as soon as you enter gamma, the left and the right hemispheres of the brain become balanced, create coherence in the brain and in the heart. And the vision for our first movie and the second movie, and where I come from with every seminar we do, every program that we offer, is that right now in this moment we already are everything we've ever wanted to be. We truly are already. We have the limitless potential. We don't have to find it. We don't have to become it, but we do have to allow it, because it's become normal for us to live in the busy beta brainwave, or super beta brainwaves of stress. And every time that we're in these emotional inner states, we are actually resisting that greater part of ourselves. So when we're going in, and we're going into alpha, and we're going into theta, and our brainwave activity is changing, we're creating heart coherence, we're going into the gamma, we're creating brain coherence, we are actually in that moment, people call it connecting to something greater, I do too. I really like to say we're allowing that something greater to flow through us.
Right.
And when we practice that more and more, our lives change, because we feel our predominant beliefs change. And you can use gamma to change beliefs. You can use gamma to just be and connect to your intuition. And the more we practice something, because how we erase any limiting belief, any pattern, is the more we practice the vibrations or the feeling of who we really are, then that old pattern just dissipates, because we're no longer giving that attention. And is what's growing is the presence within us, which is what? Bliss, joy, creativity, peace, everything that we could ever imagine. That's who we already are. And so I always like to focus on that is the magic, is that we don't have to find it. We don't have to, trek all through the world and go try to find it. It's right here within us. We can either allow it or disallow it. And we begin to allow it when we relax into meditation and connect with it, and especially enter these brainwave states like gamma.
And so now give us a little technique of how to synchronize our brain halves to allow that flow to happen. Sure. I know you've taught me before, and I love it, and it makes immediately some noticeable changes. Unless you're driving, please don't do this while driving.
Yes,
some people will have gotten just the audio files and listened to it, commute. Yeah. Do it at home. All right, so walk us through it.
Yeah, so if you're in a place where you won't be disturbed for the next few minutes, it's really simple. I'm going to walk you through a portion of a process created by Chris Walton, and this is in our program, but it's very simple. So all you do is just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and then just simply. And again, this is just an example. This is a portion of the technique, not the entire technique. But just right now, bring to your mind something in your life. It could be a time in the past, or it could be a vision of the future, but something that makes you feel gratitude, joy, that activates the heart. And it doesn't have to be superhuman gratitude, but just something that genuinely makes you feel good. And, it could be the time when you gave birth to your son or daughter and you held, your baby for the first time. Or if you're an aspiring author and you don't really have a past experience that you can think of right now to bring you joy, what would it feel like if you were a best-selling author and you were published? What would that feel like? So anything that puts you in a good, happy place. And then we move into the whole brain posture, which is simply crossing the legs.
Crossing the legs?
Yeah. Okay. And then crossing the arms and bringing them up over your chest like this. So it's like this.
Okay, so slow, so I can watch this again.
Yes, as slow as like this.
Okay.
You go like this.
Okay.
And then you just flip under and go like this. Yeah. And at the same time, you're crossing your legs and feet. It doesn't matter which way or which order. And then you just close your eyes again. And then smile. And when you're smiling externally and you're feeling it internally. And this begins to release, positive endorphins, of course. And then just bring your mind gently, place the attention onto this time of the past or time of the future. But place your attention on this right now in the present, on these good feelings. If the mind wants to wander, just gently bring it back to these good feelings. Keep smiling. And within about a minute, if you're hooked up to an EEG, they'd probably tell you that you're experiencing alpha brainwaves, theta brainwaves, and gamma.
So this might be the moment where you rise in your awareness to the source, or connect, or feel the connection to that greater ocean of luminosity or light, or portal of singularity, however you want to envision it.
And of course, our inner source is bliss. And so we connect to the frequency of who we really are when we're feeling good.
Now, as we're listening, I'm also imagining that multitudes, thousands of people are going through this state right now and or throughout the day as they're listening to it and doing it at their own time. And we're all going to be creating this light network of beings, being the source connected energy being. I love this, that we're this field of potential, like candles lighting up around the planet.
Yes. Everywhere in the world, people are awakening more to who they really are. And as we are in this fulfilled state and this high vibrational place where we connect with that greater part of ourselves, you know, when you're feeling good, you don't want to harm anyone. When you're feeling good and fulfilled, you become selfless instead of selfish. When we're in fear and we're focused on the worry, we become body consciousness.
And when we are in openness and bliss, we're becoming compassionate. We're able to feel you and me in the same space.
That's right.
And the others. And that's when we care, when we share, when we go like, oh, I love you.
Yes, where we become peaceful and harmless.
And so when that gamma frequency starts operating, obviously there is no upper limit. They've measured onward, upward to 44 hertz, but then they also go up to 200 hertz. I've read about
well, and even beyond, because Dr. Joe Dispenza from our first movie, you know, was talking about, and they said, so the ultimate is the gamma frequency. And he said, well, we thought that, but now we're studying the brains, that they're going so far above and beyond that our present day equipment can not measure it.
That's it.
Not measure it. And
that's, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the essence where soul starts basically taking off, and the true essence of our core being starts illuminating instead of just the brain. And all the people that are trying to say we can transplant personality into a computer, you know, they can't create the heightened states of gamma and shoot on out and go beyond. They simply stay stuck in the pattern and the Maya and repeat the Maya.
That's right. That's right. And, you know, speaking of Dr. Joe Dispenza, since the release of our first movie, he has now made scientific history. And how he's done that is that so far, they've never seen measurements with the brain, like how his third-party research team has measured. And it's just beautiful. Gamma consciousness and beyond. And is what's happening now, and this is happening all over the world. I've seen this in my own seminars. In a matter of less than 5 minutes, a woman that could hardly move and even get in the posture, the whole brain posture, because she's been in pain for 20 or 30 years and was crying, was pain-free in less than 5 minutes.
Awesome.
And that's permanent. I checked in a few years after, and she was still pain-free. And in Dr. Joe Dispenza's seminars, people with all kinds of diseases and even who can't walk and you know, cystic fibroid tumors and everything, it can there's just no time. It doesn't
disappears.
It's disappearing sometimes in the first day of their workshop.
That's because we let the higher light illuminate the blueprint, and we start opening up our blueprint to another version, to a heightened.
Right. Yeah, and so this gamma process, you know, created by Chris Walton, we use that, and we show a lengthier version in the program where we use it to reprogram our beliefs, and it dissolves our limiting beliefs.
That's the ticket.
This is just a touch of it. I just want to be clear on that.
Okay. This is the beginning of how you get into the state, and then from there you reprogram your beliefs. Yes. And the beliefs are, as Bruce Lipton describes in his great book, that shapes the life force into the form. And
Yeah.
so we need to be sure, like you say, is to focus on the grander self that is illuminating the body. Now I want to touch in on this amazing subject of yours, which you stand for, which is to say, quit thinking about death and dying. It's just like it's outdated of a model. We're
Yeah.
not, I mean, that's not who we are. And if you so choose, you can create longevity. You might want to create immortality, or at the very least know that you are the beacon of light inside the body and you can create whatever form you wish.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Well, I like to think that that we have this limitless potential, and how far we want to take it is up to us. I mean, I personally believe humanity's highest destiny is to bypass death, and where we're vibrating so much at our core essence that our body reflects that and transfigures into the light body, and you travel interdimensionally, and then we're free. And in the past, it's been common practice we're taught that we connect with our creator after we die, and so
Right.
what is the purpose of life, and why make that stop if it's not necessary? And in fact, the greatest sages, if you're studying the Vedics in the East, they have correctional mantras for if you're aging. They say it's so far out of alignment with who we are. We are eternal youth. We are eternal. That is our spirit. And our body is a reflection of what we believe, what we allow or disallow. So now science is showing that since we're creating every atom of our lives, it's our stress, it's our fear that disconnects us, and it squeezes out our life force. And when our life force squeezes out, we begin to age, we begin to get older. And then ultimately, if we continue to squeeze it out enough, we die.
Right. And so actually, and they've done tons of studies on it, if anybody is experiencing ill health, just creating deep relaxation and opening of our cells to let the life force in creates miracles. And whether that is our belief in calling on Jesus or on God, whatever, some people simply, I know in Germany there was this Bruno guy that during the Second World War, he just said, look, if you need to believe in me, do it, just open yourself up and just receive. And they would say, open up and let the luminous light penetrate you, because the identity is so strong. We all are trained to believe we're the form, and literally we are actually that which flows into the form.
Right.
And so you're saying we can take it. Obviously you're a living example of age defying. I mean, I wish I could tell people your age. That would be really putting proof to the pudding.
I feel I'm on my journey. I feel I haven't mastered it yet. I feel that the possibility is there and I'm working towards it.
Right. And, beautiful.
So, yeah.
And it really, I want to come to that point, is being human and having failabilities and frails and death and dying and all that, that's just a feedback system to say, this is where we are. And people like you, people like at the summit who are giving inspirations of what we can do once we start dreaming big. It's like that proverbial carrot becomes the aspiration or the inspiration for us to let go of the old and go and move and say, okay, so if I could, apparently other people have done it, let me do it too. And we allow ourselves to reflect incrementally ourselves at higher capacities.
Right.
So it's a journey.
I think it's individual for everyone, and whatever resonates with anyone. I don't think death or dying is wrong. I just think people should know that it's a choice. And I don't believe that a higher power calls us to death. Otherwise, you're saying God is a murderer. It's all death is suicide, because it's either conscious or unconscious. But there's never a time. It's our time to go. It's his time to go. I think that's what humans have made up from not understanding our deepest beliefs that have been causing the aging.
And I had Suzanne Wagner on the show, and I'm not sure on which of the days she's airing, but we talked about destiny and free will. And there is, for each of us at our current reality level, let's say my vibration is a certain type. There is a particular destiny. If within my lifetime I manage to raise my vibration to a higher potential, I don't have to go down that road. I am free to choose a higher road. And that's what you're saying, is we're free to choose.
Yeah.
It's like, but we are, and that's it. We are where we are, and we can move on to a higher frequency potential.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very high state, and I think that is part of our highest destiny. How far we want to take that is up to us. How quickly we want to unfold to that. And I think more important than anything is when people tune in and what's important for me right now. That might not even be on the radar right now. That might not even be a thought, but maybe later, and that's fine. And but maybe right now it's important that they express themselves through a creative career, and that is their next step. And so
exactly, to start dreaming bigger than the current form is. And actually, do you know, I'm sure you know, in the studies about happiness, it found out that when we open our boundaries from where we are to the next level, when we're in this flux of opening and then pursue that goal, is when we experience, and that we have to naturally take a step outside of something we know into this floating sensation, and we have to grope almost into this invisible world and start floating into our potential. It's not fixed yet, so we have to start shaping it up by becoming it energetically first. That's what people consider happiness. In that moment, they connect to source, to themselves at a larger level, and they break out of the current mold into a new one.
That's right. That's
so,
right.
Definition of happiness.
A key phrase there, becoming it. Because when you're beginning, because we already are it, but we become it when we begin to feel that and vibrate at that. And I think that's why people are calling it happiness state, is because guess what? This limited self that is feeling powerless and scared and in financial lack and in worry, that does not feel good, because it's not in alignment with who we are.
Exactly. Yes. We instinctually know there is something greater waiting for us.
That's right. And that's why anything less doesn't feel good. And that's also why you can manifest anything and everything in your life that will never truly fulfill you, because a part of our soul knows that we want it all. We want it all. And true fulfillment comes from knowing who we are.
Who we are.
All the manifestations.
Yes, exactly. Know thyself. Socrates and the true masters all point the directions towards discovering incrementally, maybe, the higher self and the grander self and the true source and the connectedness to the one.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So cool. Well, I want to thank you that you're making that course available for such an amazing price, $297. And it's a companion course to your video that's coming up now. People can can buy the movie ahead of time and put themselves on the list. They can get your previous movie free of charge by clicking that free button up top. So if you haven't done so, please be sure to watch it. There's a lot of great scientific details that you may want to rewatch, just so you can share that information with your friends. Because a lot of people around us believe the scientific world, and they like to have friends who know a little bit about why beliefs create changes, why epigenetics works, why Harvard spent $1 billion, I believe it is, in research on epigenetics, which means the study on the circumstances around the gene expression. So it's all about who you become in your ether. So thank you, James, for bringing these movies out. And that just started with a dream of yours, right? You weren't born a filmmaker. You made yourself into a filmmaker, correct?
That's exactly right. I owned a talent agency, and I sold it, and I said I want to create movies that inspire people into being more of who they really are.
Awesome. Well, be sure, everybody, to get his film for free, and then you have something in your hands you can quote to your friends. And also, maybe check out the special sales price with the information about the course. What's the name of your course?
Being Your Grand Self.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, James.
Thank you.
See you.